just want to talk to you today about DIY tools and starting out. It doesn't have to be expensive when you go looking for tools. Upgrade as you have the money. It doesn't have to be expensive. That's kind of my whole goal, is how cheap can I recreate something. You know, if I recreate something that looks gorgeous that only cost me a couple dollars, I'm excited. I go to the clearance aisles. I'm not about how much money I spend, but about how much money I didn't spend to get what I got. Because if you buy a couch, you're paying, you know, $800,000 or more dollars. And if you can buy one at an auction that looks like new for $50, you've come out ahead. So same with the tools. When you're starting out, I want to go through what to start out with and upgrading. Here's one of the first things I got when I started DIY. It's just a little hand miter saw. I don't remember how much they cost, but they're much cheaper than an electric one, which will run anywhere from $200 to $300. But this will start you out just fine. Screwdrivers, you can buy them at Harbor Freight for really cheap. All you really need is this flat and a Phillips, or you can get one like this that has different tips that you can put on it, and then you can upgrade to an electric drill. The Harbor Freight one has been strong enough for my little DIY projects. They're about $30. If I need something stronger than that, I borrow my husband's, but most generally you won't need anything stronger than this. I needed it when I was putting subfloor in, and I need to sink the screws below the surface, and this was not strong enough. Sanding, a block sander to start out with, and then upgrade to an electric sander. And I think these are around $30, $40 also. These are only a few dollars. You need a staple gun. I like this kind that you push with the palm of your hand rather than squeeze with your fingers. When you squeeze this one from the palm of your hand, especially being a woman or a female, are not as strong. You can use the palm and just lean into it as you're pressing down, because I just didn't have the grip to do the other kind. You'll need a hammer. You may need a hacksaw, and then you may want to upgrade to an electric cutoff tool. You may need chisels, which are out in my shed, or you might want to go with an oscillating tool. I'm trying to get the shine off of it. An oscillating tool, and it's got a adapter on it that you can plunge cut instead of using a chisel. Jigsaw is a real good starting piece just to cut wood. Most of the time you won't need like a table saw. Some of the lumber companies will cut a piece of plywood, do a couple cuts for you at no extra cost. I know for my case, I'm only 5 foot tall. I'm not really fond of using the circular saw because my arms aren't that strong, first off. Second off, if you're trying to cut across a 4x8 sheet, my arms aren't long enough to go clear across the 4 foot wide part of the plywood. So it's sometimes safer just to have them cut it. Know your limitations. 20 years ago, I wanted a router, and I was just so excited I could put these fancy edges on things, and I got it out of the box and I read the directions, and it kind of scared me, and I put it back in the box. And then just when I was getting really close to building my confidence up to give it a try, I worked at a prison, and in their hobbycraft department, one of our older inmates had literally spun around his finger clear down to the bone with a router, and I thought, he's used to using it. And I think I've had it for like 30 years, and I've used it twice. I bought a table, and I'm still not real confident with it. So, like I said, you know your limitations. You'll need a wrecking bar if you're going to do projects with pallets. You'll want to tear them apart. A hammer. Pliers. A box cutter, and if it's dull, I don't know if I can get it up there for you to see it, has got lines on it, so if it's getting dull, just take your pliers and it breaks and you've got a sharp edge. And I bet you're all wondering why I have plastic wrap. If you're refinishing a project, it's never been opened, I was going to open it. I bet you're wondering why I have plastic wrap. This is my trick for refinishing. If you're wanting to strip the paint off something and bring it down to its regular wood, you need this. And I didn't know this for quite some time. Get the paste type stripper and you paint it on. Put a layer of saran wrap over top of it, or plastic wrap, and it will hold the moisture in and it will eat down through that paint much better before it dries out. If you just leave it open to air, you're going to have to do several more layers. If you do this, you might have to do a few layers, but it will get through the paint much quicker. If you're going to work on those projects, you'll need a paint scraper. Don't try just sanding through it. You want to scrape it off. I just want to go through some of the tools to start out with when you're beginning DIY projects. Don't be afraid to start. You're going to make failures. Not everything I do turns out exactly the way I want to. I've had some failures, and then I've let things set around that I thought, oh, I could do something with this, and I've let it set around, and I've come back to it several years later and either started back in and to finish a project, or I started up on a project, or I've changed what I was going to do with it in the first place. But enjoy. It's a lot of fun. It's rewarding, and sometimes you can get something for very cheap.